In this video, I'm going to share with you 2 ways to use VocalSynth 2 in a modern pop session. Now the song I'm using today is called Your Eyes, and it's by KYLO. So here's technique number 1. I wanted to add some power and depth to the backing vocals during this pre-chorus. I'm going to play for you the beginning and then the after, and then I'll show you how I came up with this sound. So here's before we use VocalSynth 2.
I've been waiting for you to see that I can't stay here with you.
And here's after.
I've been waiting for you to see that I can't stay here with you.
Now, let's dig into the setup. So first, I've set my mode in VocalSynth 2 to MIDI mode. This gives me easy to follow instructions on how to set up MIDI mode in my DAW, which is Logic. In fact, VocalSynth 2 automatically recognizes your DAW and gives you DAW-specific instructions for how to route in either auto, MIDI, or sidechain mode. So now that I'm in MIDI mode, I follow the steps for MIDI setup in Logic, first by creating a new software instrument track, and then placing VocalSynth 2 on it. Then I headed to the sidechain options and chose the track that I essentially wanted to play with my MIDI keyboard. In this case, the track is called Low Harmony, and it's over here.
I've been waiting for you to see.
So once I had my low harmony track, the track that I knew I wanted to play, I went to VocalSynth and searched for it in the sidechain input options. Now, this is going to be different depending on the DAW that you're working in, but Logic makes it pretty easy. So there it is right there, low harmony, audio 65, make sure it's checkmarked. And now you can pull out your MIDI controller or MIDI keyboard and play some notes.
I've been waiting for you to see I can't stay here.
Let's talk a little bit about the sound of VocalSynth 2. I got this sound by starting with a preset, which you can find in the global preset menu over here. Just click that. You'll notice that we have things divided into 2 categories, auto mode presets and MIDI mode presets. Because we're using MIDI, I started with the clear folder in the MIDI mode preset menu and went for searching for symmetry. And then I made a few tweaks and came up with this tweaked searching for symmetry preset. You'll notice that as I flip back and forth between both of them, they're not too different. Things sounded really good right away, but let's go through the tweaked preset that I saved and talk about how we came up with this sound. The first tweak I made was to engage BioVox, a module modeled after the human vocal tract. I added some breathiness with the breath slider to give the MIDI harmonies an ethereal quality. I'll bring up the breath slider as I play this vocal passage back.
I've been waiting for you to see I can't stay here.
So aside from breathiness, adding the BioVox module to your module chain is a great way to add power, smoothness, and depth. So have a listen as I turn the module on and off here.
I've been waiting for you to see I can't stay here.
Next, I went to Polyvox and turned the formant slider here to its default. You can always do that by double clicking. And this is just to protect against any pitch shifting from Polyvox. I also turned down Polyvox from the animation here, and this is just to give most of the power to the vocoder and BioVox modules. You can blend and bring things in right from the animation itself here, or toggle it from the sliders. It's up to you. And we also have vocoder, which is adding some robotic grit to this background vocal. Have a listen as I bring this in and out of the mix.
I've been waiting for you to see I can't stay here with you.
Finally, I added some width from the global output menu here, which affects the totality of my effects chain, and this was just to make the backing vocal sound really epic and wide.
I've been waiting for you to see.
I should mention that I can add width and even affect the panning and gain of this instance of VocalSynth 2 from the visual mixer, which is right over here on my master bus. So here is my instance of VocalSynth 2 MIDI, and I'll play this and watch and listen as I move this around.
I've been waiting for you to see. I can stay here with you.
So the ability to remote control VocalSynth 2 is possible thanks to inter-plugin communication between these two plugins. So as you can see, we only made a few small changes to the original preset, which we used as a starting point. Again, let's do a before and after.
I've been waiting for you to see. I've been waiting for you to see that I can stay here with you.
The next technique I want to show you follows the same steps. We're using MIDI mode, but this time I'm not affecting a vocal, but an entire percussion bus. So here's what it sounds like before. I'm going to play the dry drums and then put them into the mix. Here they are in the mix. And here's our vocoded drums, and then I'll put them into the mix. So I'm using the same setup as earlier, MIDI mode, but instead of the sidechain source being a single track, like in our previous example, it's a whole bus of instruments. In this case, they're all hanging out on bus number 4. Let me show you what I mean. So the track I want to affect this time is not a low vocal harmony, it's this percussion track. And it's a track stack in Logic, which contains a whole bunch of tracks. We have snares, crashes, loops, all kinds of stuff. When I collapse this down, you'll see that all that information is hanging out on bus number 4. That means that I have to go to my software instrument track, which has VocalSynth on it, open it up, and search for bus number 4 as my sidechain source. So I'll go do that now. And there it is with the check mark. So now I am affecting everything on bus number 4, which is that percussion stack. Let's talk about the sound. So I'm actually using the same preset that I used in tip number 1. It's the Searching for Symmetry preset. But I made a few different creative choices before arriving at this sound. And the first choice I made was to turn the BioVox module off. I really like the sound of just the vocoder and the Polyvox module. And the biggest decision, I think, was to turn the distort effect on. And by the way, you can change and reorder these effects to your liking down here. And let's have a listen to the distort before and after. I think it just really helps the drum sound pop. Here's before. That harmonic saturation just helps lift this drum sound to the next level. The next thing I'm doing is I enabled the chorus and delay effects down here. Now, chorus is brand new. It just adds a kind of dreaminess and creaminess to the drums. Have a listen before and after. And the delay just helps lift this drum bus and give it a bit of air. So again, before and after. And here's everything in the mix.
When I look into your
So thank you so much for watching this video. Please check out our other videos on VocalSynth 2 to learn more about how to use it on genres like rock and hip hop. Take care.